Hello guys. So in our previous tutorials, we were able to push our projects to GitHub. I'll leave the link up there if you haven't watched that particular video. Now in these tutorials, we'll be setting up our repository layer for our POS system. And then we'll use console-based application to test our repository layer. Let's get into it. Okay, so we have our repository layer here. And of course, we have our data layer. Now, if you remember in a previous video, we used the database first approach to load our database here using Entity Framework. Now, in this video, we are focusing on creating our repository for a basic CRUD operation, that is to insert to our database, to delete from the database, to update, and also to select from the database. Now, from our database, we can see that we have our customer table, we have our product table, we have product category, we have sales transaction, and we have sales item transaction, and then we have our users. Of course, the database session was done in part 1 of this tutorials. So let's create our first repository class. So let's call that, let's create the repository for customers. So normally, let's follow this naming standard, that is customer repository. Great. Now before we forget, let's change and make it public. Now, let's add another repository for our product. Now, so for the customer repository, so basically what we will do here is that we will be inserting into customer table. It will also be inserting to, it will also be reading from the customer table, and it also delete and update as well. Now, the same applies to the product repository. That one too will be inserting into the repository, the product table, updating, deleting, and also selecting from the product table. Now, normally it will be good to cover your repository with interfaces. But in this particular lesson, I don't want to go in that angle because I don't want to confuse those who are not very good in interface with C#. So I'll just go straight forward. So for our products repository, basically we want to be able to add to our product table, also delete or remove, some call it remove from, let's say remove products. We should also be able to update our products. We should also be able to select, let's use get. We should be able to also get from products. And for the get, we will use to this one. Let's use this one is get by ID from the product, and the last one to also get all products. So these are the basic functionality we want to do in this particular class, that is the product repository. So let's create our first class method, here. So this should, our add should return nothing, then we should call it add products. So that's our first function or method. Now let's create the other method. And for this one, we want to call it remove product. And of course, to remove the product, we have to come with the product ID. And we should also have, I really like copy and paste. So we should also have update product. So to update product, we have to use the product class. Okay, so with the update, what we want to do is that after updating, we want to be able to return the updated product. So let's return null for now. We'll implement the functionality later. Now we are here. So let's, again, I would want to copy and paste. So for the get, we will also have get products. Then here you come with the product ID. Then for now, let's return null. And the last one, we want to be able to get all products. So this one, we return list of products. So let's make it get products. Great. So now we have been able to write the skeleton of our product repository. Great. So our data repository contains our product context, the DB context. So what this means that anytime you want to get access to our database, we have to create an instance of the DB context. So basically, the DB context is just like a path. In a layman explanation, it's just like a path to our database. So in using database first approach, what happened is that we create, in a layman understanding, we just create a path between our project inside Visual Studio to the database using connection string. Now, I will talk a little bit about the connection string. So this particular DB context here, this DB context, it uses this path, that is the connection string here. If you go to the app config, you see this connection string. So our data source being the POS, the integrated security equals to true. We will explain this further when we are deploying the project. Now, we can see that the POS entities is inheriting from a base class, and the name here is POS entities. Now, this is the connection string that this particular DB context will use to talk to the database. So we realize that this one is POS entities, and That is the exact connection string we are using. Great. So now, this is our DB context. Anytime we want to get access to the database, we have to create an instance of this particular class. So let's go ahead and create an instance of the POS entities class. Now to do that, we want to use constructor to create the instance. So let's make it underscore DB equals to new. Now let's use shortcuts to create a variable. Very good. So now, again here, let's update this one. To add product, we want to come with a product, the product we want to add. Then we use the DB context to save it. Now, before we add, we just call the underscore DB dot. So we realize that now we have created an instance of the, our DB context here. That is the POS entities. And the POS entities have all our tables here. It has the product. Of course, if you go to the database, you see all these tables. So this DB sets are kind of a virtual path you can use to go to your database. Okay. And I use shortcuts here. If I want to get to this class, what I'll do is I'll just press Control and I'll click on it, and it will go to the class. Very good. And you see that I'm switching my windows. I've been using Control Tab to switch my windows. To switch my tab, sorry. Okay. So now here, what do we do is that we just say DB, and we want to add products. So type products dot add. Then we just add our products here. Now we are getting red. What is wrong here? Let's see what is happening. Okay, so what is happening is that we are getting this red line because we are not referencing entity framework in this repository layer, because the data layer is using entity framework. And we realize that since we are referencing the DB context, which is using this entity framework, anywhere we are using the POS.data, we have to reference the entity framework. And as you can see, we are not having the entity framework in this particular class library. So in Visual Studio, you can just click here. It will give you suggestion. Just click on it and it will tell you you want to install package entity framework. Now, we can use this and we can come here and click on use the local version. What it means that it will just use the version here and install it for you without using the internet. But if you have internet, you can just go here and go to find and install latest version. But of course, I want to use the local one, so I'll just click here to install it. So it will take some few seconds to install that. Now we are good. So the next thing we do is that after adding this to the table, we have to say db dot save changes to save our product. So that is it. So to add to a database using entity framework is just writing this 2 lines of code. That is what makes entity framework very flexible and very nice to use. Now let's go ahead and perform the remove product functionality. Now, for us to be able to remove products, first of all, we have to get the product we want to remove from the database. So to do that, let's do var product equals to, of course, we want to be able to get access to the product the person wants to delete. For example, we should do this because we don't know whether the product ID coming in even exists in our table. So to do that, we have to check if the product even exists. So to do that, we can just use underscore db dot product. Then we use the first or default method to check. So we can use a lambda expression that is a equals to a greater than a dot web product ID equals to product ID. Now we have first and first or default. So I can either use first or I can use first or default. So the difference between first and first or default is that for the first, it will throw an error if it's not able to find any product of that particular ID in the database. And with first or default, it will return null if the product do not exist, and it will return the product if the product exists. So we want to use this because we don't know whether the item ID, product ID coming in exists in the database or not. So because of that, we have to do some checks before we go ahead and remove. So we should do if product is equals to null, then it will mean that the product do not exist. But if it's not null, then it means that the product exists, so we can go ahead and what? Delete it. So let's go ahead. So since this one can let us know that the products do exist, sorry, we can go ahead and delete. So we can go ahead and b dot product. Of course, we are dealing with product, so we are always using product. Remove. Then we just submit the product we want to remove. So after that, we just go ahead and do db dot save changes. Great. So the question is, what about if the data did not exist? What do we do? So we can say else, let's throw an exception that product ID do not exist. Great. Okay. So this is how we delete the product from our product repository. Now, let's work on the updates. So for the updates, in fact, let's pause for the updates and work on the get product. So for the get product, we just say return underscore db dot product dot first or default. It's always good to do first or default. A dot product ID equals to product ID. Great. Let me quickly do the next one. Should convert it to list. Great. So that is for our product repository. So let's quickly do the same similar one for our customer repository. So of course, let me go through again for you. So for the product, that's what we have. We just our method is accepting product parameter. Then we just use the db context. Then we use the product. then we just add it. After that, we just save it. Basically, that is it. The same applies to the similar thing applies to the add, remove, sorry, then have get products and getting of product list. Great. So that's simple. Let's go straight to our customer repository. So we are doing a similar thing in the customer repository. So what I'll do is that I'll just select all these ones, copy, and come here and paste it. So what I'll do is that I'll have to reference. So what I did was that I just press Control dots and click on reference this one. Now I should replace this one with my constructor. So now let's use find and replace. So we are just finding all products in this particular. So you realize what I did is that I just select the products and press Control F. Now to select all products, now I'll make sure that my selection is parent document, and I'll just type customer. I'm doing this because I know the only thing that will change is customer product. And I'll click find, replace all. Great. So basically, I'm done with this one as well because nothing really changes. What changes is that the add customer, you just change the customer parameter for our remove. In fact, this one is capital and I don't like it that way. Let me change this one. Of course, let me show you a shortcut as well. So now this one starts with capital letter, which I don't want. And this guy here is also referencing it. So I'll use the renaming refactoring. So I'll just right click on this and go to rename. Then I'll start typing customer ID. Realize it's renaming all anywhere is referencing it. So let me do the same apply here. The shortcut is Control R. So customer. So let me do the same for this one. Customer. Great. Good. So let me go over again because so here what we did was that we just created our POS entity. After that, we came here to write the create a variable for our DBO, our POS, sorry, entity DB context. Then we went ahead to create our add functionality like this. Great. So we are done creating repository for products and our customer. So I would want you to also do it for the rest of the classes. So you can do it for customer. You can do it for users and product category. So I'm giving you this work. Do it for the product category and the users. Okay. So now let's go ahead and test if our products or our repositories are really working well. So to do that, I promise we'll use the console app to do that. So let's go to our client. Since the console app is a client-based layer, let's go to our client layer, right click, and go to add new project. Then we look for console. And in fact, we are looking for .NET console app. So .NET console app, .NET framework. Let's go to next. Let's call it POS dot console. Let's use console test. Let's use console test UI. That's great. And that's what we have. That's great. Let me pin it here. So what we want to do is that we want to test our customer repository and our product repository. So what we will do is that we will just go ahead and create, since we want to use the customer repository, we will just create an object of the customer repository. So let me call it repo equals to new customer repository. Now, I'm getting this error because my console test UI is not referencing this data POS dot repository. It's not referencing it. So I have to reference it because I want to use it. So I have to reference it here. So I'll just right click here again, go to add, and check on the POS dot repository. Let's click OK. Now we can just use the shortcuts control dot to reference our repository. So beautiful, we are having our repository. So we can simply use our functions in there. So let's test the add customer functionality. So to add, let's create an object of customer. Now, don't forget that the customer class is inside our data layer. There's it. So it's inside the data layer. So of course, we have to reference the data layer to at the console side as well. So let's go ahead, do the same thing, check the data layer, click OK. Now control dots, then we reference it up here. Great. So for our customer layer class, we just need to add, since the customer ID in the first part one of the video, that is the design of the database, we made this customer ID auto increment. So you come here, then we check, we realize that the customer ID, we check here and we realize that the identity specification is equal to here. So we don't need to even add it when we are adding new customer. So we can go ahead, say customer dot first, I think name, let's give it something equals to, let's say, first group customer dot let's mobile number okay, and let's check what property can address. Okay, so let's check whether we have other. Okay, great. So again, I said to check is you use shortcuts, press Control, you see a underline, you just click on it. It will take you to that particular class. Great. So the next thing we do is that we just call our customer repository to customer repo dot I'll add customer. Then what you do is that because I'll add customer, you remember it accepts customer. So that is why we created this customer object. So we just give it to it like this. Good. Now we are done. And let me show you another way of doing this. Instead of having it like this way, we can just do it this way as well. We can do this, this way. And in fact, Microsoft prefer this approach. So let's go in this way. So let's use console.read key to hold our screen when we run it. So now, this is our test for getting our customers. Sorry, for inserting a customer. So now we want to run our console app. So first of all, let's come here and make this one a startup project. Great. So let's put breakpoints here so that we can go through our code step by step to see. Now let's first of all go to our database and write this query that select all from customer and see whether we have some data inside our customer table. We don't have any data now, so let's go back and run our project and see. Okay, so we come to the, so for breakpoint, to go to the next line, you just use step over. So let's click on step over, and you realize that you can hover to see what is happening there. So you realize that's created an object. Let's step over again. Let's step over. We are getting an error. Now, the reason why we are getting this error is because we haven't set up the connection string in our client's app.config here. We haven't done that. And again, we have to also reference entity framework here. So to fix that, we just come to reference, go to NuGet package, and we search for, make sure you select the browse. The installed one is the one that is installed in our project. But we want to use a browse. We search for entity. Sorry, entity framework. We click on this particular one and click install. Great. So you can now realize that we are having our entity frameworks here. So that's great. The next thing we do is that we have to have our connection string here in our console UI, this app.config. So we already have it inside the data layer. So you can just come here and open this one and copy this section. Copy this. Just you can watch it carefully. It's just below the config section. So you can just copy it and come here, and you can just come and paste it here like this. So after doing this, our work should run. So let's try it again and see. Click on it. Let's step over. Yeah. Let's step over again. And now let's try. It's worked. So for us to know that everything is working, let's go to our database again and still execute the same code again. Now we realize we are having our data in there. Let's try it again. Let's say Microsoft, and let's use Accra. Let's stop our work. And now let's come and put the breakpoint here because we don't want to break. Let's run it again. Now, because it's here, then it means that it has added this data. So let's try it again and see. Perfect. So our customer add functionality is working. Now, let's try another functionality because in our repository, we also have remove and we have get and we have get customers. So let's try, first of all, let's try the, so let's comment this one and let's try our get customers. So equals to our customer repo dot get, sorry, get customers. Okay, great. So let's put our breakpoint here again and run it and see. Okay, so let's investigate and see. Now you realize we are having our data in here. We can show it on the screen by, let's stop it and show, you can show it on the screen by using for each loop. For each loop. So basically, we are looping through the customers. And let's use a console dot write line. So let's say, and let's use so let's say first name, no, customer. So item dot. I just want us to console it on the screen for us to see. Sorry, this one should be here. Right. So let's run it and see. So of course we are having our items here. So our get customers to is working. Now let's try getting one customer. That is this method. Let's try this one too and see. Customer goes to customer repo dot. Then let's use ID1. We are giving the ID one to use. Let's copy the same thing here. Let's replace this one. Let's run it again. Great. You see now this one too is working. Great. Now, so we can see that our repository class is working. And since this one is working, I believe that our product too will work. So let's comment, or let's comment this line of code and test for our product and see if our product is working. So in fact, let's clear this data here. So let's try for the product repository. So in fact, let me name it repo equals to new product repository. Now we have create object of product. We are trying to add a new product. Okay. So this one, let's use the standard approach of doing this. So we have the product, the name. Yeah. Sorry. Then let's check the properties we have. We have the price. It's 100. Let's go and check. I'm using the tab to switch. Let's check the cost. So cost of course should be lower. Let's say 95. Check the next. It's active. Let's make it active equals to true. Then we have is visible. That one too should be true. Then the barcode number. Make the barcode number too. Yeah. Okay. So now let's try to add it and see. So to add it, just repo, then you call the add function you just created. Okay, so let's put it here again and let's run it. We are getting an error. Now let's read the error we are getting here. Now the error is telling us that let's expand. Now the error is telling us that inserting statements conflicts with the foreign key constraints. And the foreign key constraint is the product and the product categories. What it means is that the product table has relationship with the product category, which is true. But in adding, we didn't add the product category ID. Okay. So what it means that before we can, let's go and check the product category. There's no data there. So before we can add a product, we should have product category. So let's do that. So let's say we have food stuff. Very good. So now let's stop it and correct the error. Let's go back to here. Then let's add our product category equals to what? 1. Then let's hit again. I'm sure this one time around it will work. Yes, it's just worked. So let's run this code again. Run it. Kim, we are there. So great. So we have been able to design our repository. So what it means is that if it's tested, our test inside our console app is working, then it means that if you build our desktop or our web front end, our repository will work perfectly. So I was able to do it for the customer repository and the product repository. So then what I'm expecting you to do is that I want you to go back and do it for the other classes, that is other models. So we have user here, go and do it for users and do it for the product category as well. So in our next video, we will be designing our front end, focusing on the Windows Form application. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon to be notified anytime I upload video on my channel. Bye.